So a lot of economists and folks in Washington are saying, gee, maybe we've got a recession in our future. Tori, let me turn to you first. Larry Summers says we're almost certain to have a recession, and Janet Yellen says, no, we're not necessarily going to have a recession. So what do you think? What does your crystal ball tell you?
Oh gosh. If I knew, I'd be gambling in Vegas. I think the real question, well, yeah, you stated it correctly. The real question is whether or not the Federal Reserve can ratchet back inflation without causing harm to the underlying economy. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know whether they can do it or not. History says no, they can't. I mean, if you're betting on a person on probabilities, if the past is prologue, then no, they can't. But when you think about what happens during a recession, it's normally a time of rebalancing and unwinding things that generated these bubbles, et cetera. And in the present case, there really isn't much to unwind. Maybe we've got a housing market bubble, but the rise in interest rates seems to be doing a good job of cooling the housing market. So if there is a recession, I guess my point being, if there is a recession, it's probably going to be shallow and not one that's steep and long.
The interesting thing is that the labor market still seems to be pretty strong. There are a lot more jobs than there are job seekers. Mm-hmm. And yet, is that part of the problem that the Fed is having to deal with?
Well, and there's some interesting dynamics underlying that as well, because, with the shortage of labor supply, there's this big competition for labor. And one of the things that we're seeing is that big businesses, big corporations, they're adding to their headcount because they can compete on price. They can offer wages and benefits, beyond what small businesses can offer. So we see big business adding to their headcount, but small business is actually losing headcount. And when you look at, sort of what is the backbone of U.S. economic growth, it's small business. So I think one of the things to be concerned about and keep an eye on moving forward is whether or not small businesses can continue or can add to their headcount and continue to meet the demand for the goods and services that they provide. Because right now they're struggling to do so because they're being outbid by large